Okay, welcome everybody. As you know, my name is Tim Blycroft, and I will be your instructor for today. We're going to be going over the probationary firefighter requirements for the Gordonville Fire Protection District. Okay, nothing too difficult, but it is stuff that we definitely want to cover. Make sure that when you guys do show up on scene, you know exactly what needs to get done, what we expect from you. We also are going to be talking about some behaviors that we would like to see on scene and some standard operating guidelines and procedures that we have. All right. So within the Gordonville Fire Protection District, we are a full service fire department. Yes, we are volunteer, but we all not only run fire calls, but we also run EMS calls as well. This department also has, I think we're up to 7 paramedics right now, which is more paramedics than any other of the volunteer departments. Actually, I think we even have more than Jackson, if I'm correct. So we do have a lot of paramedics. So we do run not only the firefighting calls, but also both the EMS as well as ALS paramedic calls as well. Which means we also have the equipment. We have the monitors, we have the cardiac drugs, things like D50, epinephrine, everything that we need to be a full service entity. We're also a training entity for both EMS. We have a medical director, and she's very active with the department as well. So our whole idea with this course is to really give you more familiarity with the fire service, especially if you have no experience. We're going to show you and work with you on some of the procedures that we want to have done when we're on scene. All right. If you have any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get those answered as soon as we can. All right. So within our time frame, you have 6 months to complete everything the probationary firefighter needs to know. All right. And these are the things we're going to be covering. We're going to be talking about. I'm sorry.
Stop.
Stop. Oh, gotcha. Okay. We're going to be talking about Articles 2, 16, and 17. Article 2, does anybody know what Article 2 covers? Rules of conduct. What we would like to see from all of our firefighters. Remember, you've got a shirt that says what on it? Gordonville. Every time you put one of these shirts on, you represent the Gordonville Fire Protection District. Whatever you do out in public, people are going to notice that. A lot of you have also got the little stickers on your cars. It says Gordonville Fire Protection District on it. Even if you're not on call, you're still, got a big giant billboard. How about Article 16? Anybody know which one that covers?
Driving.
Driving. So we're going to talk about what you all need to complete to operate our vehicles here on the department, as well as your own personal vehicle. And what about Article 17?
Active membership policy.
Active membership policy. What we would like to see from all of our members, this includes some trainings of what you guys can attend. And then we're going to be talking about some SOGs. We're going to be talking about 001, which is response and radio communications, so that we're all using the same radio communications. We're going to go into 003, which is the incident command system. This one gets a little bit tricky. Incident command system is used universal throughout the nation. Every department pretty much uses it. It can be small, it can be very large. But we'll talk about some of that and trying to understand the incident command system a little bit better. And then the final one we'll be talking will be 005, which is some fireground operations. Okay. All of our objectives are listed up here. We're going to be talking about 001. This is going to be talking about the response assignments and what their definitions are. We're going to be talking about how we respond, our radio traffic that we're going to be using. We'll be talking about identifying 4 components of a scene size up. You may be one of the very first people on scene. Remember, we not only respond in our apparatus, but we also respond in our private vehicles. So you may be the first one on scene. If we got a fire, how are you going to do size up? How are you going to let everybody else know what's going on? We're going to be talking about some scenarios and how we're going to take care of those and what modes of operation that we're going to be functioning in, whether it be fast attack or whether it be search and rescue. All right. We'll also be talking about some fireground goals and putting those in strategic priorities. Article 2 will talk about some of the acceptable behaviors and then those that are maybe non-acceptable behaviors that we don't want to see happen, not only when we're on scene, but as we're living our daily lives. 16, we're going to talk about some our emergency warning devices. A lot of us will have the blue lights in our vehicles when we do respond emergent, when we do not respond emergent. How to pull a triple fold. All of our lines on all of our trucks are triple fold. So if we need to pull a line to put out a fire, we're going to actually be practicing that today. We're also going to be hooking up pump nurses. So hooking up a water tender to one of our fire apparatus so that you know how to do that as well. We're going to be doing some positive pressure exercises, hooking up or establish a fan outside of the residence or building or whatever it might be so that we can push the smoke out of the home. As a matter of fact, we just did that a few days ago if any of you guys were on that fire. We're also going to go over putting on your PPE, your structural fire equipment. We'll start off real slow. We're going to do it very fast. Department policy for us is, how long are we supposed to do it in?
1 minute.
1 minute. And that is department policy. Things have changed by national standards, but we still remain at 1 minute on this department. We'll also be putting on our SCBA. Again, how fast do we have to do that in?
1 minute.
1 minute. Again, that's the department policy. Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about articles or rules of conduct. Does anybody have questions at this point? Okay, so let's talk about rules of conduct, what we expect to see from every firefighter within this organization. All right. One thing is professionalism. What do we mean by professionalism? What are some of the things that you think we want to see? What are the good things we want to see?
Look professional.
Look professional. How we dress, how we attend our scenes. I'm sorry?
Positive attitude.
Positive attitude. Teamwork is going to be another one. What are things we can?
Respectful.
Respectful for not only ourselves, but for our patients, other firefighters, other departments. What else do we want to see? What else is going to give us a nice positive attitude or positive reflection on the people that we see out there?
Well-trained and efficient.
Well-trained and efficient. How do we become well-trained and efficient in what we do? We practice, and we practice, and we practice, and then what do we do else, Jerica? We practice some more. That's pretty much what we do most of our time. We train, we train, we train, we train, and we train. We get to the point that we train so much that we no longer have to think about it, but it becomes second nature. Putting on your structural firefighter gear should be pretty much second nature. Putting on your SCBA should be second nature. Knowing how to pull a line to the front door should be, again, second nature. We should have trained on all that over and over and over again. So attending trainings, that's probably going to be one of our biggest things that we need to see. What are things that you might be out there that you might want to see? Talked about teamwork.
Public relations.
Public relations. What are some of the events that we do as far as public relations are concerned?
Halloween party.
Halloween, all right. Started that a couple years ago. But not only does that get the kids into the building, allows them to see our apparatus, but it also does what? Gets the parents in here as well, gets the community all involved. So Halloween's another big thing that we do. MDA drives. So as much as we can be in the public, the better off that we're going to be. The more we can present ourselves out to the real world, just as the average, average individual, the more the kids are going to like us, the more the adults are going to like us. Okay. What are some of the things that we don't want to see? What are some of the bad things that can look bad on the department?
Fighting.
Fighting, all right? That's definitely. And who are we talking about fighting with? One another. Remember, we can get tired, we can get frustrated on scenes. They may not be going exactly the way we want them to go, but we definitely got to make sure that we don't, argue with one another, all right? Arguing on scenes with one another, questioning our tactics or whatever it might be, looks very bad on us. All right? You come back to the station, you want to have an argument or you want to have a little conversation, that's perfectly fine, but we don't want to be doing that out in public. What are some of the other things that we might see and don't want to happen?
Stealing.
Stealing, whether it be from the department or a residence. Remember, we're going to people's homes, so we definitely don't want to see that happening.
Misuse of equipment.
Misuse of equipment. Using the equipment for its wrong purpose. What are type of things?
Alcohol and drug abuse.
All right. You're in one of these shirts. What does that mean? We're not drinking. All right. Whether you're off duty, on duty, or whatever it might be, especially not on duty. All right. But yeah, we don't drink when we're on duty. If you think you're going to be responding, don't be drinking that day. All right. So sometimes, as volunteers, something we have to coordinate with our team sometimes. All right. But yeah, drinking. My rule is 12 hours. If I had to drink 12 hours ago, I'm not responding to anything. They don't want to smell it on your breath. It can also impair your judgment. And remember, you're also driving too. So what's another thing we might want?
Breaking any kind of traffic laws, any traffic laws.
Okay, traffic laws. We're going to be talking about driving in our vehicles. Yes, some of us have blue lights within our vehicles. We're asking permission to go around individuals or to, go through a red light or a stop sign. But we also need to do it very respectfully. We don't want to be causing any accidents that might be out there. Remember, your erratic driving can be very bad. But I also want you to think about if you have a sticker on the back of your car. What does that also mean? You may not be responding to a call, but you need to drive what? Speed limit. You are the one setting the example. Because I can pretty much guarantee you that even if you're not responding to a call, you're just running over to Walmart, you've got that little sticker on your car and you cut somebody off, who's going to get the phone call? Probably the chief. And something tells me you probably don't want to be called in the chief's office because you're a lousy driver. Right. Anything else you guys might be able to think of?
Sexual activity on district grounds.
That would be bad. That would be bad. We definitely don't want to have that, especially now that we're putting in what in the back room? We're putting it in the bunk room. So we definitely don't want to be seeing that. Anything else you guys might think of?
The way we communicate with each other on the scene, whether it be foul language or...
That's a big one. That is, that's a big one. A lot of times we show up on scene, and sometimes after scene, maybe you haven't seen somebody for a while and you're starting to have a conversation out in the front yard. That's kind of one of my biggest pet peeves. You want to have a conversation, come back here. But yes, the mouths have a tendency to be a little colorful on occasion. I'm just as guilty as anybody else, but that needs to be brought back here to the station. All right, we can have conversations within this room or in the house that we should not be having out in public. So yes, watch your language. When we're done on a scene, leave that scene. Come back here if you all want to chit chat. We shouldn't be doing that in the front yard and talking about that. Especially when we're talking about patients. If we're talking about patients in the front yard, who could be around us? Family members. Neighbors. All right? And what's the problem with that?
We got HIPAA violations.
We violated HIPAA rules. And HIPAA rules can be very costly to not only the individual, but also the department as well. So HIPAA is one of those things that we need to worry about. So what's ever happening on scene, if you want to talk about it, should be brought back here to the department. So once we're done, come back. All right. All very good points. Anybody think of anything else we didn't talk about? Radio communication is going to be the exact same thing. I know radio communication can be very frustrating on occasion, since all the departments are pretty much sharing the same thing, kind of being respectful as far as that is concerned as well. All right. So driving requirements. What are some of the driving requirements that we have here in Gordonville from your SOGs? Got to have a driver's license. That would always be good. On top of the driver's license, what do you also have to have?
A vehicle.
A vehicle. You've got to have the vehicle. Current insurance card. You must have a current insurance card. Your driver's license and your insurance card must be on file here at Gordonville. So when you've got it, we need to make copies of it. And it's got to stay current, because remember, you are driving a lot of times your own personal vehicle. Especially if it has lights and sirens on it, it becomes a firefighting vehicle that we use for operations. What else? Wear your seat belts. Always wear your seat belts. I don't care if you're in your own vehicle or if you are in one of our apparatus. The apparatus is not going to leave until you put the seatbelt on. If you are driving one of our apparatus, you're the driver and you have multiple people in the vehicle, whose responsibility is to make sure that they all have their seatbelt on?
Driver.
It is definitely the driver. Yes, I know we're all adults and everything like that, but sometimes you got to smack adults upside the head and say, hey, put your seatbelt on. Are we all guilty at that one point? Most definitely. Have I put my turnout gear in the back of, on the back of a truck? Yeah. Not the proper thing to do, but we should be wearing our seatbelts. All right. Safe driving record. This is one of the biggest ones. If you're regularly pulled over for speeding, causing accidents, being stupid, guess what? Our insurance isn't going to allow you to drive one of our apparatus anymore. You can drive your car all day long, but I'm not going to let you drive one of our apparatus. DUI. That's another big one. And hopefully that DUI better not have been responding to one of our calls. You get a DUI, you won't be driving any of our apparatus for a very long time. I can pretty much guarantee that. I know our assistant chief will definitely come down on you hard on that one. Lights and sirens must be used together. For those of you who do not know, you cannot just use your blue lights without the siren. You cannot just use a siren without the lights. They are an integral part. They must be used together. Now, once you arrive on scene, can you turn the siren off? Yeah, because we'd all prefer it. It would be easier to hear one another. But you do want to make sure that you leave your lights on so that everyone around us sees what's going on. But yes, we definitely wanted to do that. For our blue lights, I'm going to tell you that blue lights are kind of a privilege. Not everybody can have them. And you must be approved to get those blue lights. We're going to be talking about one of the courses that you have to go through, our CEVO course or some sort of emergency operators course. But just because you've gone through that course, just because you meet all the requirements, doesn't mean that you're going to get the blue light card. That's 100% strictly up to the chief. The chief is the one who makes the decision whether you can have one. And you must maintain that little blue card with you at all times if you're running emergency calls. Because in case you do get pulled over or something along those lines, they're going to definitely want to see that. And do you think the chief can revoke it at any time? Oh yeah. Yes, he will definitely do it if you're breaking the rules. So let's talk about department vehicles. All right, they can be operated by those who are 18 years of age or older. So you must be at least 18 to operate our vehicles. What else can we do? Take the emergency vehicle operators course. If you want to operate anything with air brakes, you must have taken the emergency vehicle operators course. What vehicles do we have that do not have air brakes?
Rescue truck.
Rescue trucks, so what number is that?
16.
3616. Brush truck, 3617.
And 3019.
And 3019 is our air van. Those just also happen to be all trucks that are under what? 1 ton. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you 3616, pretty heavy truck with all the equipment on there. So you do need to drive that one a little bit more carefully, actually all of our trucks a little bit more carefully than you might be driving your little Honda Civic or Ford Mustang or whatever it is that you drive. Because you think those are going to stop like all of your little car? Probably not. So you're going to have to drive those with a little bit more due diligence. But yes, you got to have anything with no air brakes. You can drive without having the vehicle operators course. Can you run them with lights and sirens?
No.
Not until you've gone through the course.
And you're off probation.
And you're off probation. So that's one of the reasons that we're doing this. So off probation and have taken the driver's course. Once you've completed both of those, then you can respond emergently. But emergently, until then, you can pretty much just drive them down to Walmart or on a driver's training or on air in district to go do some sort of an assignment. All right. Again, always wear your seatbelt. We do not require Class B CDLs. It's just a department policy. We don't have to have that. And I'm going to tell you the biggest thing. Leave these in your pocket. They don't belong up at your ear when responding to a call. You should not definitely be doing this whole thing. What am I doing? You shouldn't typing on the steering wheel. Yeah, that's pretty good. You like that? Okay. Shouldn't be doing what? Texting and driving. All right. When you're driving your vehicle, when you're driving a department vehicle, these should be in your pocket.
So now the passenger could operate the cell phone.
Yes.
Directions.
Right.
Different things, just not the driver.
Correct. That's going to be the same thing with your map books. You've all got map books at this point. We have them in your POVs. We also have them on our trucks. If you don't have them, we'll get those to you. But you shouldn't be driving down the highway trying to figure out where you're going with your map book if you are the driver. That should be the passengers or the officer's responsibility to tell you how to get to that particular spot. If you're by yourself, you need to take a couple extra minutes before leaving the scene. Do that to figure out exactly where you're going. Now, I do know that a lot of these, we have the GPSs. If you need to put those up in your window, that's perfectly fine. Go ahead and put the GPS up in the window and use that to tell you how to get to a scene. But you shouldn't be talking, you shouldn't be texting. All right. Here's one of the other things that you're also going to want to make sure that you don't do. All right, is call one of us when we're responding to a call. That happens on occasion too. I'll be responding to a call and my phone's lighting up. It's kind of like, why are you calling me? You know I can't pick up the phone, right? Listen to your radio traffic as much as you can. I know sometimes our radios can be a little bit frustrating. We don't always hear, but you don't want to be calling somebody else saying, from the station, what do you want me to bring? Because they're obviously responding to the scene and they've got other priorities that they need to be taken care of. So make sure that your phones stay in your pocket. Okay. So vehicles under 1 ton, we talked about that already a little bit. Can be driven by members without the driver's course. Still must be over 18, and again, they're going to be non-emergent. Now, do we take our youngins, our individuals who are under 18 out for driver's training? A little bit. We'll put them through the driver's course. We don't take them out on the major highways, but we will put them through the driver's course. But again, everybody pretty much needs to be over 18 to be responding to calls. Okay. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about active membership and what our department wants to see from all of our firefighters. Regardless of whether you've been on the department for, 3 months or you've been on the department for 10 years, some of the things that we would like to see. All right, and these are our minimum requirements. Anybody ever seen the movie Office Space? This is our minimum flare, okay, of what we want to see. All right, so 3 trainings per quarter. How long is a quarter?
3 months.
3 months. All right. So that's essentially 1 training every month. Doesn't matter what that training is. It can be EMS training. It can be fire training. It can be a combination of the two. It could be Spartan training that you've attended with Chief Ramsey, whether it's here or at another department. As long as you attend that course, it counts. It can be in-house training, where we do a lot of in-house training. We do EMS once a month. We do that on the 3rd Wednesday of every month. And then we have fire training at least 2 to 3 times a month, definitely the 1st Sunday of every month. What's the second one we sometimes do? Do we have a scheduled date for the second one all the time, or is it just kind of whatever?
It's just kind of
flexible?
Yeah, kind of flexible.
Okay. All right. Now, do we have some exemptions to the rule? Sure. If you are currently going through, let's say, firefighter 1 and 2, do you think that you're getting your training that is required? Most definitely. Firefighter 1 and 2 is what?
3 times a week.
3 times a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and all day on Saturdays. Trust me, you're getting your fire training. So we kind of make the exemption at that particular time. What if you're going through EMT school? Sure. Yeah, we're going to make the exemption from there because you're getting what? You're getting your medical training for at least 5 months. All right? If you're going through paramedic school, yes, we're going to make the exceptions to the rule because we know if you're going through paramedic school, you're going through school, but you're also having to do your clinicals. You think you're getting your medical experience and training? Most definitely. So we do have some times where we do make the exceptions to the rule. Would we like to see you? By all means, we would definitely like to see you, but not required. 1 weekly apparatus check. And I can tell you as a department, we still have some problems here.
But what are we scheduled?
It is scheduled, and you will see that from your captain. So whatever station that you are assigned to, you should have a schedule that's put out by your captain. So yes, you'll know, it should be what week that you're assigned and also which apparatus that you want to be checked off. And then get it with your captains, and they'll show you specifically how to do an apparatus check depending on what engines you have or what apparatus you have at your particular station. But this should be done once a week. Why are apparatus checks important?
To make sure you have what you need when you get on the scene.
Make sure we have what we need when we get on scene.
Make sure everything works.
Make sure everything operates correctly.
It's a review of where everything is and where everything belongs.
That's a good one. Where is this stuff? And yes, do things,
It moves frequently.
it moves frequently, all right? Sometimes we have to readjust equipment. Sometimes we get new equipment, which means we have to find a place for it, so we may have to move something else. Remember, we are what? We're a volunteer department. So the problem with a volunteer department, all right, is we're not always here every single day checking off the equipment like there would be on a full-time department. So we don't have the luxury of coming in here, checking off our apparatus before going out to a call. The call comes in, we all come here, we jump on the truck, and we got to go. All right, we don't have that, that luxury of doing complete 360, kicking the tires, checking the oil. It's all got to be ready as soon as we jump into the truck. Now, does that not mean we want to make sure the tires are filled before we start pulling out? No. You want to do a quick look around, make sure there's nothing, nothing underneath the truck or something hasn't fallen up underneath the truck, or the tires are flat before leaving the station. But again, you're not going to do a complete checkoff before leaving. So it's very, 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 very important that we do those truck checkoffs, and those get done on a regular basis. Now, if you can't do your week, what do you want to do? What should we do?
Talk to somebody else.
Call somebody else. All right. Can you call somebody else from another station? Sure. All right. I have no problems going out and checking somebody else's equipment. I try to do that on a regular basis anyway. As a medical officer, I do try to go out at least once a month to check all the AEDs and make sure the medical bags are all stocked properly. So that's kind of one of the things that I do. I don't have a problem going out and checking your apparatus if necessary. But remember, checking those apparatus are definitely going to help you memorize where everything is at on the truck. And remember, that's part of your probationary test. One of the things with the probationary test is we can pull any frontline apparatus and say, okay, where's the PPV fan? You should be able to find that. Where are the extension cords? You should know where those are at. Where do we keep the SCBA? Where's the New York hook, or whatever we might have on that particular truck? So you're definitely going to want to know where that's at. CPR certification. Everybody should be current on their CPR, yes? We should be, well, especially on this department. It's a requirement. Not to mention that we have, I can't think of how many CPR instructors we have on this department. As one of the EMS instructors at CTC, you can come get a certificate whenever I'm teaching a class, and I pretty much teach CPR at least once every couple months. So if you want to join a class over there, by all means. We try to do it out here at least once a year, if not twice a year, depending on how how we get new firefighters and EMS personnel. So definitely, this is one of those things that I'm a big advocate of. I have seen CPR work, and I have seen cases where I thought CPR would work, and it never got done. My biggest concern is, why do you think I want to have everybody on this department CPR certified? Is it for our patients?
Yeah, but also for others.
For each other. All right. What's the #1 killer of firefighters? Cardiac arrest, and that can happen when we're on scene. So my biggest advocacy for having CPR done is so that we can help one another in case one of us goes down. One of the drills that we do here that we started last year was a firefighter down technique. We found that video online. We've been practicing that, how to get gear, or how to start CPR with the gears on and take that gear off the firefighter as we're pulling them out of the building. So we've been trying to practice that at least once every 6 months. I'm a big, big advocate as far as that's concerned. And then we encourage to attend to trainings. We kind of beat that one to death. Training, 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 training. As many trainings as you can make a month. Again, it doesn't have to be in-house. It could be going to a conference of some sort. FDIC is probably a good one to go to. There's lots of training as far as that is concerned. We have the Jackson training every October. Is when they hold that. That's some other training that you can do. Especially, you know, for those of you who haven't gone through the basic firefighter or haven't gone through firefighter 1 and 2, they offer the basic course at that particular time. So that's another very good course that you can go through. Okay. All right. We've got a couple of the articles covered. Let's go ahead and take about a 10-minute break. We've got donuts in the back. We've got coffee. We've got some water. Let's just kind of take a quick 10-minute break, come back about 10 o'clock. Okay. All right. So we've covered a couple different things. All right. We've covered some. We've gone over the articles that we have. So we talked a little bit about behaviors. We talked about driving, good, bad, behaviors we see. One of the things we didn't talk about was on-scene tobacco use. All right. Smoking on scenes. Walking around with that, looking like this type of deal. You can't do that and talk at the same time, can you? All right. So we don't want to have that chew, and especially when we're going into a person's house. Do you think this would look really good? Probably not. Okay.
I feel bad. My shoes are dirty, honestly, at that last place we were at.
And that may be one of those things you got to kind of keep in mind too. If you've come from the farm or something, your shoes are all dirty. See if you can't put some covers on them or something like that, or at least clean your feet before going to the person's house. So. Unfortunately, when it comes to a fire, we try to be as clean as we can, but all that stuff's going to get all over the place.
I felt bad
But
tracking all that insulation all over.
oh, I did too. Yeah. But tobacco use is kind of one of those big things. I don't want to see a lot of smoking and dipping and all that type of stuff on scenes. Wait till we get back here. I think the use of tobacco is very, very far down in this department from when I first started. I don't think we have too many who are smoking or doing tobacco anymore. So, but that is way down. She does that. Yeah, she does that. So that was the only other thing I wanted to kind of bring up, but we hadn't really talked about. So let's talk about our incident response and some of our radio communications. We definitely want to keep our understand how we're responding, and when we communicate with one another, what we're talking about. So our incidents, our primary responsibility when responding to an incident is get the closest apparatus to wherever the structure is or wherever the incident is as quickly as possible. So knowing where our district is and where certain locations are in our district is imperative because we have 3 stations. So if we've got something that's down in Dutchtown, where's the closest facility? Station 3. Station 3. We have apparatus down there. So where should our primary people be going? Station 3. So knowing where you're going and which is your closest station is going to be the most important thing. Now, a lot of, Station 1 is relatively centralized in the Gordonville district, and most people come here. But do we still want people to go to 2? Do we still want people to go to 3? Sure. Let's take the other day. When we had the fire down on Graphite, we needed to not only bring apparatus from here, we needed them out of Graphite, but what did we also do? We kind of backfilled Station 1 because Station 1 is centrally located. So should we have received another call, we could have responded from here. So things from 2, things from apparatus from 3 and 2 kind of came here to kind of backfill in for us a little bit. All right, so that's one of those things we want to make sure that we get done. We definitely want to make sure that our district is always covered. We do a lot of mutual aid requests, yes? All right, we're always helping out other departments, but we need to make sure what is covered. Our district as well. Remember, our taxpayers pay for us to respond to calls within Gordonville. So we don't want to be taking all of our apparatus out of Gordonville over to, like, say, Whitewater or East County. So again, it's very important that we listen to our radio traffic of what's already left and what's on those particular scenes before we start taking all of our trucks out of the scene. Especially our water supply. Remember, we don't have fire hydrants here. We have what? Tankers and tenders. All right, so we need to make sure that we have enough of those in our district at all times in case we do get a fire. So we don't want to be taking those all out. We also want to make sure that our communications are very clear, concise, and consistent. Well, we can do two. We can make sure they're concise and we can make sure they're consistent. How clear they are is somewhat out of our control. Obviously, with the repeaters that we have and the communication towers that we have, there's not much we can do as far as what county has, but we can make sure that we do our best. One of the things that we can also make sure that we're doing is not filling up the radio waves with erroneous traffic. And I think Gordonville, for all intents and purposes, has gotten to be very good at doing this. Some of our other departments, we still got the Billy Bobs talking to the Joe Bobs and the Joe Bobs talking to the Bubbas and things along those lines. But as far as Gordonville is concerned, I think we're very good at our traffic. We get on, we get off. It's not a lot of, what do you want me to bring down to this particular place, or what station are you going to? I think we're very good at how we handle our communication. But again, that has come from a lot of training over the last couple of years. Our assistant chief kind of, saying, this is what I want to hear from you, this is what I don't want to hear from you. And he's also very good at managing that traffic as well. So let's talk about some of the things and the definitions that we use in Gordonville and pretty much the entire county when we're talking about radio communications. All right. So our first one is Cape County. Who's Cape County? That's our dispatch. All of our communication pretty much goes through dispatch. So whenever we're talking and responding to a scene, everything goes through Cape County. So yes, they are our dispatchers. Who are the communicators?
Trained personnel.
I'm sorry?
Trained personnel.
Trained personnel. These are the guys who are at Cape County. They're the ones who are dispatching us. They're the ones who are sending us our CAD reports. They're the ones that we're talking to whenever we're calling in and letting them know where our situation is. What's the pager alert tone?
Two-tone signal that activates the pager depending on the district, depending on the frequency. So the tone.
Did you get that out of the dictionary? That's the correct answer, all right? But essentially, it's that little thing that sends this thing off in the middle of the night. It's our pager tone, all right? And every department has got a different page tone. And then you should hear those at least a couple times a week because we do the test page. So all the tones get tested, so all the districts get tested. I remember sitting in my living room a few years back. All the tones went off at 10 o'clock. It's kind of like, what? This is kind of a late time to do a test page. That's why we always do test pages at what time? 7. About 7 o'clock. Because if all the tones go off at 10 o'clock at night, what is that?
Big fire.
Big fire. All right. Remember that was Missouri Plastics. If anybody remembers that one. So big fire. So we all had to go on to that one. What's a still alarm? What do we mean by still alarm?
Alarm activated for one company response.
Okay.
Single company.
Single company. Most of our calls will be still alarms. All right. It's just an old term that's kind of carried down over the last 100 years or however long firefighting's been around. But a still alarm. Whenever we go to a medical call, it's a still alarm. All right. Smoke detector going off. It's going to be a still alarm. Those are all what we refer to. It's our basic, everyday, run-of-the-mill, we've done this 100 times type of a call. All right. So what's a first alarm then?
Multi-company alarm. We got multiple divisions or multiple.
Okay.
It's responding.
All right. Usually we got our main engine going out, but we're going to have the other engines going out as well. We might even see this with our mutual aid requests as well. If we have a first alarm, we're going to be, Gordonville is going to be going out, and depending on where it's at within our district, we might be getting Jackson, we might be getting Cape, we might be getting Millersville, or
we might be getting everybody.
We might be getting everybody. Okay. But yeah, first alarms kind of good. First alarms are kind of, this is the big deal. All right. This is, we might have flames showing, we might have smoke that's going out there. Something is indicating we've got the big one going on right now. All right. Mutual aid response. What's a mutual aid response?
We go help another district.
When we go help another district, or another district does what? Comes to help us. All right. So we do a lot of mutual aid responses, particularly on the fires. Remember, when I got in the fire service, I learned one thing: go big. Go big all the time, because what can I do?
Downgrade.
I can always downgrade people. I can always send them home. But if I wait to get another company here or another department, chances are it's what?
Too late.
It's going to be too late. You know, if I needed help 10 minutes ago and I wait 10 minutes, it's going to take them at least 20 minutes to get to me. So our policy now is call them early, call them big. And that's why we've put in what? What have we put into place now? Automatic mutual aid responses. So if we have a report of a fire, a first alarm down, let's say, you know, down 25 in that subdivision down there, who gets called? We get called. Who else gets called? Jackson. Millersville. All right. So we're automatically got these into place so that we don't have to think about who we have responding. So if I show up on the scene and I've got a house that I'm seeing flames from, I don't have to think about, okay, do I need to call Jackson? Do I need to call Cape?
But you
It's
could
all
potentially go
automatically.
and do a second alarm if you think it's big enough, where then they would call out Cape and Fruitland and that. Is that
Yes,
correct?
most definitely. I can then, you know, if we've got our automatic mutual aid responses and we need additional help, by all means, we can put out a second alarm. We can put out a third alarm. You know, can we get into fourth alarms? I mean, it's probably a pretty big deal. When did we see that? We actually saw that until about a month, actually it wasn't even about a month ago.
East County, right?
That big fire in East County. All right, we had multiple alarms going on, not only right immediately, but kind of through the night or through the early evening time. Because why? What was
It was so hot.
It was hot. All right, it was hot. Not only is it that we need the apparatus, but most times, what do we need? We need more people. We just need the people. Because when it gets that hot, you've probably got what? Maybe 15, 20 minutes worth of good work time and, you know, half an hour of downtime just to rehab, get some water into you. So especially when we're talking summertime, call as many people as you can. Don't hesitate to get as many personnel as we need. All right. So we talked about the automatic mutual aid responses. What's move up? We talked a little bit about this earlier. What's move up?
Like, wouldn't it be like move it up to a second a second alarm? Like
No,
Move
No.
up from one district to another to cover their house while they're out fighting fire.
it's a backup.
Kind of a backup. Sure. Do we go to Cape on occasion?
yes.
Yeah, all right. Cape's got a big fire going on, so they'll request us to move up and cover one of their stations. So we typically go, do you guys know if we go to Cape, or which station we normally cover?
Two.
Yeah, we usually have two.
And that's the one on the south side of Cape, right? By the mall?
By the mall, right. Yeah, that's usually the one that we will cover.
Response to Nash Road. That's the reason.
Yes, that is the one that responds to Nash Road. So yeah, that we'll often move up. Jackson regularly moves up into Cape when Cape's got something going on. So that's what we refer to. We talked about us moving up. If one has got apparatus out, what are we going to do?
Move it from 3 or 2.
We'll move from 2 and 3. And we'll bring it over into 1, which means now we've got 1 staffed and we have the apparatus here as well, in case something should happen here aside from that incident, or that incident becomes larger. So it's all that move up type of stuff. So when we're talking about the tones going off, do we want a lot of people responding on a fire? Most definitely. But you may not necessarily be going directly to the fire. Part of that's going to be doing, providing backup. All right. Emergency response. What do we mean by emergency response?
It means responding with
That's our lights and our sirens.
or with code and
Yeah, we're responding code. So this is when all the lights and the sirens and the noisemakers and all that type of stuff are going to be going on. How about a non-emergency response?
You just drive regular.
Okay. So give me an example of the differences that we might see. When do you think we would respond emergently with lights and sirens?
if there is a structure fire.
Medical assist,
Medical assist?
depending on the nature of the call.
Depending on the nature of the call.
Arrest,
Full arrest, most definitely. The faster we get there, the better off it's going to be. All right. What about the citizens assist?
No.
Just needs to be picked up. Probably not. How about a smoke detector going off?
Non-emergent.
Probably non-emergent. Especially if the person's there, their smoke detector's going off, but they can't see anything. How about a carbon monoxide detector? Probably non-emergent. We're still going to take the apparatus.
If somebody's sick, then it's emergent.
If somebody's sick, if we got the carbon monoxide going off and somebody's sick, multiple people sick, definitely we're going to run emergent because we know that that truly is a CO,
So if the
CO
CO
leak.
detector is like on an alarm system, goes off in the middle of the night, chances are someone could be asleep in the house.
Somebody could be
That
asleep in
would
the
be
house.
emergent.
Right.
Or if it's during the day, maybe, no, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. You kind of weigh those of what's going on. And again, that's somewhat at our discretion on how that call comes in, whether we think we need to run emergently or not.
But like a lift assist.
A lift assist,
Non-emergent.
non-emergent, all right? Remember, go ahead.
Would a lift assist be emergent if it was, say, in the dead of winter and it was 25 degrees out and it was an elderly patient that had been outside for an unknown time, somebody drove by and saw them
Yes.
laying on their sidewalk?
That would-
Is
That's not a
emergent?
lift assist anymore then, that's an exposure.
Right.
So, I mean,
But if it came over the radio as
Steve
a
had a
lift
lift assist that turned into a emergent, the stroke. Person had an acute stroke.
So you have to listen.
You do have to listen. And Sam does, that's a very good point.
And it
Right.
could go from non-emergent to emergent depending on
Yes.
the traffic or information that you're getting.
Most definitely. And remember, one of the things that we do when we're on scenes is we often turn things from emergent to non-emergent. When we have somebody on scene, we tell people to downgrade. Steve?
Well, we had this case last winter. We got a call for a lift assist, and when we got there, the patient was just outside the door on the concrete, and it was in those temperatures we were just discussing,
Yes.
and it turned into emergent.
Yeah. And then can we turn something from non-emergent to emergent? Respond code. Or, call Cape County Private Ambulance, tell them to upgrade or whatever it might be. All right, tell them it's a priority type of a situation. So yeah, these things can vary. And again, like I said, you need to weigh in your own mind what's going to be emergent and what's not going to be emergent. All right? What's the concern about us responding emergently?
It's dangerous.
It is dangerous. It's very dangerous, not only to us, but all those people we're driving past. Remember, I often say that your lights and sirens come with what? A free option that nobody ever tells you about. Cloaking device, all right? Because nobody ever seems to see us with our lights and our sirens on. How many times have you run lights and sirens and nobody's pulling over? It's like you don't even
I don't
exist.
have lights and sirens yet.
Yes, you don't have them yet. So.
I mean,
I'll let you know in about 6 months.
Let's stop right in front of the fire and block you from getting in with your lights and sirens on.
well, if you drive down Kings Highway, you can see it easily with CCPA trying to get through.
They often.
I've seen it before.
The fire departments have the same problem. You got a big red truck. I mean, you're sitting on the horn, and it's like, they're just kind of in their cars doodling along.
Police had the same issue too.
So, and the cops have the same
Makes any
issue.
difference if
So,
it's red or-
yeah.
They built cars so stinking soundproof now.
And that's the other problem, and that is one of the things that we need to take in consideration. That's what we talk about in the CEVO class, the emergency vehicle operator class is cars are built so well, and we have a lot of distractions in the cars. I mean, how many of you listen to the radio all the time in your car? Yeah. All right. I listen to the radio all the time. And what did I pull out earlier that people now have? All right. Everybody's talking on their cell phone or texting or something. And even if they don't have the phone up to their ear, they usually got like a little Bluetooth type of a mechanism that's going on. So that is my biggest concern about running emergent. And I know where I live in Cape, when I'm responding through the city, depending on what time of day it is, I don't turn my lights on. I wait until I usually get past, Walmart. Now, again, it depends on the call that's going on. If we've got a full structure fire, am I coming lights and sirens? Yes. Probably, because we're going to need all the personnel that we get. Right. All right. Dispatch time. What's dispatch time?
The time that the dispatcher receives the call to the time they dispatch to the department.
Okay. So how long do you think it is from the time dispatch actually gets the call until we are dispatched? How many of you have seen our CAD reports? It can vary. It can vary. I've seen it where it's within 30 seconds. I saw one where it almost took them 10 minutes to dispatch us. Yeah, it took a long time. It was kind of like, would you just forget to put the report in, or what was going on? But those were one of those where they were also dispatching police, they were dispatching ambulance, or not dispatching ambulance, but transferring the call over to the ambulance service. So yes, dispatch time is the period of time from when we actually get the pages from the time in which the dispatcher actually received the 911 call. Turnout time. What about turnout time? What is that?
Time of dispatch till the response begins.
To the time in which we're responding. Does our turnout time or our response time, okay, can that be from our POV?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. If I'm responding directly to the scene, that means what? I'm not coming here to the station. I can go directly.
Turnout time's really good.
It can be. It can be. But think about our turnout times. When can they be? When can our turnout times be very bad?
You got to come from a long distance to get the apparatus.
If there's like, or it depends on the weather. Like
Can be turned on the weather.
If there's really bad weather.
Okay. How about it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're sleeping in bed? All right. How many of you sleep in your uniforms and your turnout gear?
Witten does.
Of course you guys, yeah.
Use it for stuff at home all the time. Cutting grass, I'm ready.
You're ready at all times, yeah. Okay. I know when I get up in the middle of the night, I gotta get all my clothes on. I gotta get dressed. Heck, sometimes I gotta find my boots. And I can't quite remember where I put those. Okay. So yeah, we're.
You need some boot getters.
I need some boot getters.
I got 4 of them.
Are those your kids? Unfortunately, my boot getters are trying to put their gear on too, so I'm trying to find, when they're waking up. So that's kind of our turnout. Our response time is when we actually do what? Get on scene. All right. So by the time I get out of bed, I'm responding, I actually make it to the scene, that's going to be our response time. And what's one of the bad things, not bad things, but what's one of the disadvantages that we have as far as a volunteer department?
Everyone's coming from someplace.
Somebody's coming from somewhere else.
Different things.
All right. It may take some of us a little bit longer to get to certain places. I know that if I've got to go all the way over to Station 2's area off of 000, how long can it take me to get there from Cape?
20 minutes.
20, 30 minutes sometimes. So it may take a little bit longer.
So the fact that all of those times have a special name means what? Significant.
They are significant. They are significant. All right. And those are things that we look at. How fast is our response time? Why did it take us that long to get to a certain area? Those are things that we definitely want to be looking
If
at.
you don't measure things and you don't get numbers associated to them, you can't improve them.
We can't improve them.
If you don't
And
have
that's exactly
data,
what
you can't make things
that's exactly what we want to do. We want to make sure to figure out how do we decrease all of these times? How do we get better at serving our community? Now, we've had some pretty darn good response times. We've had calls that come out in the middle of a training. Do you think we have a really good response time?
We were at a call one time that we called in. We were there before it was dispatched.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we're the ones calling them in. We had a fire out, out by the chief's house. It was kind of big old fire. It's kind of like, flames, I guess we should go put it out. Okay? So yeah, sometimes we have very good response times. All right? But those are things that we need to keep on measure. Those are things that we do look at as far as officers are concerned. How can we improve our times? Wintertime. Our winters, the last couple of winters have been what? Pretty nasty. So what have we done now? What are we putting in place?
Bunkhouse.
We're putting in the bunk room. That way, we know that winter with the accidents, and it does take us a while to respond, now we can keep personnel here pretty much 24/7 if we need to. Again, it's still volunteer. Are we getting paid for it? We're doing it on our own time. But we know that because of our response times in the wintertime, to better serve the public, we want to keep personnel here. So and that's the purpose of having the bunk room. That's the reason we have the cable and the internet here. Okay. All right, so let's talk about our apparatus status meetings, all right, or what our apparatus are doing when we're talking about going on our day-to-day operations or going to a scene. So what does on the air mean, or on air? So if I jump into 3616, I say 36, or Cape County 3616 on air and district. What do I mean?
That means you're just out of the station.
I'm out of the station. What are we doing? What are some of the typical reasons we might go on air?
Training.
One
PR
big one is going to be driver's training, PR events.
Go pick something up.
Go pick something up. If I'm taking an apparatus down to Walmart to get some stuff, I'll go on air. So we're just letting we're letting dispatch know that we're out of the station at this particular time. But more importantly, does dispatch really care?
No.
No, but who needs to know?
The
People responding to station one.
The rest of us that are listening, okay, to the day-to-day traffic. Because if I know that 3612 is out of the district or is on air, I'm not going to do what? Necessarily respond to station one. So we as personnel need to be monitoring the radio traffic and know what's going on and where our apparatus are. En route, what does en route mean?
Non-emergency response.
Non-emergency response. So we are just going to that particular scene. We're not going lights and sirens. We're not going very fast. Do we often get en route and responding screwed up?
Yes.
Always. Okay. Am I as equally as guilty? Yes, I am. A lot of times I'll say responding when I'm not actually coming lights and sirens. It's just kind of habit. But we really need to practice on our en route and our responding. So with that being said, what's responding?
Emergency.
Emergency. This is when we've got the lights and we've got the sirens on and we're trying to get everybody out of our way. It's a big, big deal. On scene. What's on scene?
You've arrived at the location where you're needed.
Okay. When we've actually arrived on scene. Now in Firehouse, when you start doing your reports, there are a couple different things, especially when we're running on a medical. We'll get our on scene, and then if you've done a report, you'll also note that there's at patient side. So those are two things that we kind of need to look at. How long did it take us to get on scene? When do you think we might have an on scene and next to patient side delayed, a big delay?
MVC.
Maybe an MVC.
Yeah, or if you have a patient layout in a field where it takes you out in the woods, a hunting accident, fall out of a tree, you gotta take.
We got to get them.
Find them.
Yeah. What about a staging, if we had to stage? You know, because technically we're on scene, are we not? But we do need to stage a ways back for any particular reason. And there are a variety of different reasons we might have to stage. So those times could be a little bit more spaced out.
Would that be like if you had unsafe situation, you're waiting on, deputy or
Yes.
someone to be there to clear the scene, to make sure it's safe
Yes.
before you could actually go to
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Remember, they're the ones with the bulletproof vests, the guns, and all that type of stuff. We don't get to carry all that. So we may have to go make our scene safe. Do we have that many problems around here? No, but we do need to pay attention to what we're doing. So it's only going to take once for somebody to get hurt. Okay. Committed. What do we mean by committed?
That means you're staying at the scene until everything is accomplished.
Sure. We may have, let's say, in a case where we had the fire the other day. All right, we had multiple apparatus out there. Could we release some of those apparatus, but then keep one committed until everything's done? Yeah, and we want to let dispatch know. We want to let everybody else know. So, this particular case, where I may say 3611, returning back to station 3612, committed for another 45 minutes or however long we think we're going to be on scene. In service. What do you mean by in service?
Available for response.
We're available for response. Is in-service mobile and on-air in district different?
Not really.
Yes.
You could stay on scene and be in service,
Okay.
because if you were done doing your job, but you were just still staging there, you could still be back in service to go to another call,
Okay.
because you're not committed any longer.
Right. Very good.
And you're not necessarily on assignment. I said
On
there
assignment.
You're on assignment. In service, you're not on assignment.
You're not on
just not
assignment.
active.
Okay. All right. Out of service. Did we skip one? In service? Out of service. What's out of service?
That means you are out of commission.
Out of commission. Why would we take something out of service?
Somebody wrecks it?
Somebody wrecks it. Happens. We don't like it, but what may be another reason we take it out of service? And we talk in this particular case, we're talking apparatus, but could we be talking about other things as well, taking it out of service?
And the pump could be broke on 3612.
Pump could be busted. Okay.
Can't you take personnel out of service also?
Take a personnel out of service? I guess I could.
Like if they got
Hit
hurt.
them with a truck.
Hit him with a truck,
So say like if a personnel gets hurt like really bad, like at the East County fire.
Uh-huh.
Can't you consider them out of service?
Yes, they're out of service, but is that something that we're going to report?
No.
No, it's not going to be radio traffic.
Okay.
That's what I was gonna say, you don't report it to accounting, but it has to be reported to Incident Command.
Yes, yeah. We are letting Incident Command know because that is a follow-up report that needs to be done. We do, and that part of that is also accountability. Remember when we do our personal accountability reports, or personnel accountability, our PARs, that we want to know that, we had somebody go down, we've sent them to the hospital, okay? Yes, they're out of service, but it's not something we're going to let necessarily dispatch know, okay? And then what is in quarters? I kind of gave it away.
You're back in the station.
We're back at our station, all right? So we're back in quarters. Dispatch knows and everybody else knows that, the apparatus is back in its home. It's back where it needs to be, all right? So radio traffic. Now, if we've got multiple vehicles responding, and let's say we're going to Graphite, all right, back out to the fire, or we've got another big fire, and let's say 11, 12, and 16 are all leaving at the exact same time.
You can have one person say it all.
Okay, have one person say Cape County, 3611, 3612, 3616, all responding.
Then how would you designate 3611 leaving with 2 on board, 3612 leaving with 4 on board, 3616 leaving with 2 on board, or do we just say 11, 12, and 16 leaving with 8 people on board?
That's a good question.
I don't think the
It doesn't
people on
happen that
board
often.
is very relevant.
Yeah.
As long as I know I have apparatuses en route and they have,
But
I know that they used to have